The rights of the modern corporation. Corporate rights. The modern corporation has become an entity with many rights which are recognized under the law. These rights are often seen as necessary to protect the interest of the corporation and those associated with it. In recent years, the debate over the rights of corporations has become increasingly contentious, with some arguing that corporations have gained too much power and influence. One of the most controversial rights of the modern corporation is the concept of moral agency. This refers to the idea that corporations, like individuals, have a moral responsibility to act in a certain way. In other words, corporations are seen as having moral obligations that extend beyond mere profit-making. Some argue that this concept is essential to ensuring that corporations act in a socially responsible manner, while others contend that it is simply an attempt to justify regulation of corporate behavior. Another important right enjoyed by the modern corporation is constitutional due process. This refers to the legal principle that individuals, including corporations, are entitled to certain procedural protections when they are accused of wrongdoing. For example, corporations have the right to a fair and impartial hearing before a judge or jury, and they are entitled to present evidence and cross-examine witnesses. This principle is seen as a cornerstone of the American legal system and is essential to ensuring that corporations are treated fairly under the law. Supreme Court cases on corporate rights. One of the most controversial Supreme Court decisions in recent years with respect to the rights of corporations is the Citizen United versus FEC case. The case involved the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act of 2002, regulating what corporations can do in terms of elections. For example, it prohibited independent expenditures by corporations for political campaigns and electioneering communication. The court struck down the law. The Supreme Court held that corporations have a constitutional right to spend money on political campaigns. The decision was based on the principle that the First Amendment protects free speech and that spending money on political campaigns is a form of expression. Justice Kennedy wrote for the majority that the First Amendment allows people, and thus companies acting through people, to think and speak for themselves. Critics of the decision argue that it has given corporations too much influence in the political process, while supporters contend that it is necessary to protect the free speech rights of corporations. The impact of the Citizens United decision can be seen in the increasing amount of money spent on political campaigns by corporations and other interest groups. In the 2012 presidential election, the first presidential election after the decision, for example, outside spending by groups not directly affiliated with the campaigns of the candidates exceeded $1 billion. This spending was largely funded by corporations and other interest groups, and it is widely believed to have had a significant impact on the outcome of the election. Another controversial Supreme Court decision related to the rights of corporations is the Burwell versus Hobby Lobby case. In this case, the Supreme Court held that closely held corporations have a right to refuse to provide certain forms of contraception to their employees on religious grounds. The decision was based on the principle that the Religious Freedom Restoration Act protects the religious rights of individuals and corporations. Critics of the decision argue that it undermines the ability of employees to access essential health care services, while supporters contend that it is necessary to protect the religious freedom of business owners. In dissent, Justice Ginsburg argued that individuals, not corporations, can practice religious freedom. One of the most significant political implications of the Hobby Lobby decision has been the impact it has had on healthcare policy. The decision has made it more difficult for employees to access certain forms of contraception, leading to concerns that it could undermine efforts to improve access to health care for women. The decision has also led to calls for legislative action to protect the rights of employees and ensure that they have access to essential health care services. The Hobby Lobby decision has raised important questions about the rights of corporations and the balance between religious freedom and individual rights. Some argue that the decision gives corporations too much power to dictate the health care choices of their employees, while others contend that it is necessary to protect the religious beliefs of business owners. The decision has also sparked a wider debate about the role of corporations in society and their responsibilities to their employees and the public. In response to these decisions, there have been calls for legislative action to address the issues raised by these cases. Some have called for the constitutional amendment to overturn the Citizens United decision, while others have called for legislation to protect the rights of employees and ensure that they have access to essential health care services.